Hey everyone, what's up? It's Arib from the Flea Flicker podcast, and today I really want to talk about a mock draft I recently saw, and maybe it's because I'm an Eagles fan, but it was a mock draft from PFF, and I just want to rank it and rate it because I honestly think PFF did a terrible job on this mock draft for a few reasons. And honestly, I very much have massive respect for PFF, but at the end of the day, I just don't think that they're doing the best job when it comes to these mock drafts, to say the least. So I'm just going to start off here. Jacksonville, New York, both selecting quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. Both those are pretty, self-explanatory. New York needs a quarterback. Jacksonville needs a quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, those are the top two quarterbacks on the board. That's fine. Now the third pick here, they had the Philadelphia Eagles trading up with the Miami Dolphins to draft Justin Fields. And I've just got to say, this is an asinine pick for me as an Eagles fan. The Eagles gave up on, or rather they failed Carson Wentz by not drafting any weapons. And then they drafted Jaylen Hurts, and in doing so, they essentially tanked Carson Wentz's confidence. And then you drafted Jaylen Hurts in the second round, and then you gave up on him after 4 starts, and I guess 4.5 full games of playing football. It just makes no sense. Why would you draft a quarterback in the second round? I get you drafting him because he's a backup, quote unquote. But let's be honest here. You're drafting a quarterback in the second round. It's because you believe in that player to be the quarterback of the future. And you don't give up on him after 4.5 games, especially with the flashes that Jaylen Hurts had. Drafting Justin Fields is just Jaylen Hurts with better arm talent. And you're drafting him early. I get it. Maybe if you want to make the argument that you're not sold on Jaylen Hurts. But what made you so certain that you're not sold on Jaylen Hurts when instead you could stay where you are and draft a weapon, which is something you never did for Carson Wentz, and actually help out Jaylen Hurts? You can't make the same mistakes you made for Carson Wentz by failing Carson Wentz and not drafting weapons and not successfully drafting weapons. I think you can go here if you're the Eagles and you can draft a wide receiver or tight end, Kyle Pitts, at 6 and draft a weapon to help your quarterback and help Jaylen Hurts succeed rather than drafting his backup. And essentially what Howie Roseman is doing is not only is he admitting the fact that he made a bad mistake by drafting Jaylen Hurts with the second round pick rather. He's also making a mistake by giving Carson Wentz his contract, and then he traded Carson Wentz, and then he decided to give up on Jaylen Hurts after a very limited sample size. Honestly, this is just Howie Roseman admitting he's doing a terrible job. And if you do that, you're a bottom dweller. In all honesty, you can't just bounce from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback willy-nilly all like that when you need to stay with a quarterback and see what he has and help the quarterback succeed. And drafting Justin Fields does not help Carson Wentz, does not help Jaylen Hurts, doesn't help anybody, and you're not helping Jaylen Hurts. We're going into this draft, the emphasis should be that as an Eagles fan, you're trying to help Jaylen Hurts, whether that be drafting weapons or whatever it might be. And not drafting Jaylen Hurts weapons is just setting him up to fail. And drafting Justin Fields is also setting Justin Fields up to fail because Justin Fields isn't going to have any weapons to work with in Philly either. It just makes no sense to me why the Philadelphia Eagles would ever trade up for a quarterback, let alone draft a quarterback at all. As an Eagles fan, it's asinine. I get you might want to consider drafting a quarterback because you're this high in the draft, but at the end of the day, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever for me as an Eagles fan. Now 4 here, the Atlanta Falcons draft quarterback Trey Lance, NDSU. I think Atlanta doesn't expect to be here ever again in a top 4 pick. You need to draft a quarterback. Matt Ryan does not fit the scheme that Arthur Smith wants to fit. We saw what he did with Ryan Tannehill. He very much used Ryan Tannehill in the running game when he could. Trey Lance is the best rushing quarterback in the league, and I think Trey Lance needs weapons to succeed, especially early in his career. He's not the best processor, didn't really have to make many high reads. Like his reads were pretty much run the ball with one of the best rushing offenses in the league or throw to someone who's like 5 yards open. And even then, he had accuracy issues. He made the wrong reads. He's a great runner. I think he can bring some explosiveness to the offense, but he's not someone that he can start whatsoever when it comes to his first year. You let Matt Ryan play the first year with Arthur Smith, and then you give the reins to Trey Lance in year 2 or year 3, and he's more of a scheme fit. I get the idea of wanting Trey Lance to be your quarterback, and I like the pick here. 4 straight quarterbacks for this PFF draft, which is fine. But I think the Eagles are not drafting a quarterback. I don't think Miami's drafting a quarterback either. So if you're doing a trade, with Miami, probably with Carolina trading up to draft Justin Fields or a Denver or someone like that, but not Philadelphia. Now 5 here, Penei Sewell, the tackle from Oregon, going to Cincinnati. Cincinnati had a terrible offensive line. They're ranked, I believe, 30th according to PFF. And forget PFF, just look at the field. Just Joe Burrow, poor guy, was underdressed his entire rookie campaign, and eventually it climaxed in him literally tearing his ACL because his O-line sucked. Penei Sewell, he's raw, to say the least. He's very raw, but he has the physical traits, 6'6", 230-ish, 330-ish rather, I believe. He's bringing elite athleticism. He moves very fast for someone of that size. It's very much, it's an alarming thing. Like, if I saw someone that big running at me that fast, I get out of his way, especially in run blocking. He needs to work on his nuance when it comes to pass blocking, but I think he can definitely be coached up, and if he's coached up, he could definitely become an elite, Pro Bowl or All-Pro type of lineman. And you need someone like that to block for your franchise quarterback. Protecting Joe Burrow is the biggest need and should be the biggest priority if I'm the Bengals. Now, the Miami Dolphins traded here with the Eagles. They drafted Ja'Marr Chase. I like this pick for them. I think you could make an argument that they go with Davonte Smith. You need a wide receiver here. I think Davonte Smith has the Tua chemistry back in Alabama when they played together. But at the end of the day, Ja'Marr Chase is heavier. He fits that mold more of a prototypical wide receiver one. And I think Miami, they need someone to build up confidence with Tua. Tua did not have confidence when he played. His yards per attempt was like a yard and a half less than Ryan Fitzpatrick whenever Ryan Fitzpatrick played. And you could just tell Ryan Fitzpatrick was willing to push the ball down the field more. Tua was not. And I think drafting Ja'Marr Chase, who I think he had like 25 deep catches in 2019. He opted out in 2020. But in 2019, he had 25, I believe, which led the league. And the difference here, I think if you want to push the ball downfield with Davonte Smith versus Ja'Marr Chase is just a better technical receiver when it comes to going downfield. He's a better jump ball receiver, did it more routinely. He's great with using press and using his hands to gain separation against man-on-man corners and zone corners. He's just a better technical receiver when it comes to making big plays downfield. And I think getting someone like Ja'Marr Chase who can be an explosive threat downfield, and especially with his ability to make yards after the catch, I think he's just the best wide receiver prospect. So I understand with Miami drafting a wide receiver here. Now Detroit going Micah Parsons. They need someone who can head the defense there. I think Dan Campbell brought in very much biting the kneecaps type of mentality, to say the least. I think he wants to be a hard-nosed football coach, and he wants to be able to bring a good culture. And I think Micah Parsons, he has the potential to be a Pro Bowler when it comes to the linebacker position from Penn State. This guy's athleticism, like he legitimately might run like a 4.3 or a 4.4 in the 40 dash. He's a great tackler. You can use him on blitzing when you need him to. He's probably the best blitzing linebacker in this draft class. And I like what you get with Micah Parsons here. So I don't have a problem with this pick. He's versatile. He's a good tackler overall. I think he can work on his pass coverage, but he fits the mold of being a true Mike linebacker and play that middle linebacker spot. Now Carolina here drafting Kyle Pitts. I think Carolina has needs elsewhere. In all honesty, I think Carolina could afford to, they need a quarterback. I think they could work on potentially drafting a edge player. Carolina drafting Kyle Pitts. They have weapons already. They have DJ Moore. They have Robbie Anderson. They have Curtis Samuel. So you're just drafting more of a plethora of wide receivers and weapons for a guy in Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know. I think they could probably use offensive line help. I don't know if tight end is the move here. I think their defense needed to improve. They could probably go corner here if they wanted to go Patrick Surtain, get someone outside of, I believe his name is Dante Jackson, the former LSU cornerback. They could definitely go that direction if they wanted to. Tight end, I guess, is a need. They don't really have anyone. I don't think Ian Thomas, I don't even know if he's still on the team, but if he was, he's just not a good player. So if you want to go the offensive high-end ceiling with Kyle Pitts, I think it's a decent play. But I think Carolina, if I wanted to say a team that would trade up, it wouldn't be Philly. It'd be Carolina. Carolina needs a quarterback. And free agency hasn't happened yet, so obviously they're in the sweepstakes for Deshaun Watson. I'm sure if Dak Prescott becomes available, they'll be in that sweepstake as well. Now Denver here, going Kwity Paye. Von Miller is going to be a free agent most likely. He's coming off, I think he tore his Achilles or ACL. He's 31 as well, so Von Miller is old. Kwity Paye here, I like the pick. I think overall, I originally hated it. I think they should go corner here. Patrick Surtain's on the board. J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Caleb Farley, Virginia Tech, who goes 10 here to Dallas. I think all those guys are definitely in play here. Kwity Paye, great run blocker. He has very quick lateral quickness. I think he's a decent pass rusher, and when he takes over as a pass rusher, no one can stop him, at least from the tape I watched. I think he can definitely be worked in that aspect, definitely more of a run blocker, so he's going to be he'll get playing time early downs in the NFL on run blocking downs, rushing downs rather, for the offense. And I think it's a good pick overall. You can pair him with Bradley Chubb, replace Von Miller. I don't think he has the high-end pass rushing ceiling of a Von Miller, but I don't think anyone other than probably Gregor Rousseau and maybe Azeez Ojulari had that type of ceiling as a pure pass rusher. I think Kwity Paye, you're getting a very solid run stopper and elite in that regard, and you're getting someone with some pass rushing upside. I like that. Pair it up with as for someone to replace Von Miller with. Now, Caleb Farley going to the Dallas Cowboys. I have Patrick Surtain higher. I have J.C. Horn higher. I think those two are more zone corners, and they seem to fit more that lanky build. I think they're safer, less aggressive, less likely to get burned. I think Caleb Farley, I like his measurables. I like his size. I like his speed, his hips, his fluidity. I mean, he's faster than those guys. He's more athletic than those two other guys. So I think he has the higher ceiling as well. He's a true man-on-man corner. They were terrible when it came to the secondary, Dallas. They could not stop the pass whatsoever. Just flat out, they could not get that job done when it came to stopping the pass. And I think drafting Caleb Farley, who, if you want to go big or go home, you can go Caleb Farley. He has the highest upside out of the three. Now, New York Giants going Jaylen Waddle. They need a wide receiver. And I guess Davonte Smith is still on the board. I think if you want to go with someone who is extremely explosive, deep speed, you can use him on screens, bubble screens. You can use him as a running back as well. He was used that way sort of at Alabama. You can get someone like that at New York Giants. I don't really have a problem with them going with the speedy wide receiver. I think Jaylen Waddle might honestly have a true Tyreek Hill ceiling, and we haven't seen anyone like that. Like Henry Ruggs was drafted from Alabama last year, and he was proclaimed the next speedster, if you will. Jaylen Waddle is by far better. Just watch his game against Auburn in 2019, I believe, and you'll see what I mean. San Francisco, they're going with Davonte Smith. I don't think wide receiver is a need. Just flat out, why would you go wide receiver when you can go, like you're going to lose Richard Sherman. You might lose Jason Verrett to free agency. Those are your two starting outside corners. You have someone like J.C. Horn, who I think is a perfect scheme fit. Patrick Surtain, who is already has like this elite sort of professional attitude and aura around him. You can go there. Why would you go with a wide receiver here with Davonte Smith? It makes no sense to me. It's not a need. You have Deebo Samuel, you have Brandon Ayuk, who you already invested first-round draft capital in, and your offense is not the problem. Your defense is about to lose its two starting corners potentially, and you could replace them with Patrick Surtain, who's gone up against the elite competition at college. You can go with J.C. Horn, who I think very much is the Richard Sherman clone. He has the length. He's not as tall, but he has the arm length. He has that zone coverage ability. He has that sort of knack to break up passes, and he's always going to be in position. You can go those two guys. I don't understand wide receiver here. It makes no sense, and PFF is wrong here. Now, Rashawn Slater going to LA. I don't have any qualms with this out of Northwestern. This guy held Chase Young to like a non-factor back in 2019 when he played him. They did not lose that game because of Chase Young. Chase Young was a non-factor due to Rashawn Slater. And that alone for me is enough to draft him. Now, Minnesota here, they're going Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw here. I think they need offensive tackle help. They need offensive line help as a whole. So I'm not against it. I think their defensive line was really bad last year. I think they ranked as like the 32nd, and they'll get Danielle Hunter back, but I think Danielle Hunter alone won't fix this. I think drafting someone like Christian Barmore, who might not necessarily be as great of a player as Christian Darrisaw, or even going with Gregory Rousseau or Azeez Ojulari, the pass rushers, Joan Phillips, Joseph Osai, those guys to me fit more of a need. I understand offensive line, but I think you need to fix your defense. Your defense was piss poor last year. They were 32nd when it came to pressuring the quarterback, and you can't have that. Danielle Hunter's going to come back who can fix that issue, but you lost multiple contributors in Everson Griffin and Linval Joseph the last couple years. So I like going with a defensive edge player here, or even Christian Barmore, their defensive lineman who gets drafted by New England here. And this makes no sense to me. And I'm sorry, but Christian Barmore getting drafted by New England, good player. I have nothing against the player. I think he doesn't really have the high-end ceiling, but I think he's overall a good defensive tackle. You need a quarterback here, though, if you're New England. Like, I don't understand it. And free agency hasn't happened. We don't know who they're going to get. Are they going to get a Marcus Mariota, a Ryan Fitzpatrick? Are they going to keep Cam Newton, which I would not do. Cam Newton seemed to wash last year. You need a quarterback. And guess what? Mac Jones, the quarterback out of Alabama, is on the board. This guy is the best processor in the draft class. He has the great mind. You can see him improving every single year, or I guess from his sophomore to junior year, rather. You can see him understanding the defenses. Like, you see the safety. He'll be like, I know where I should go with the ball. I can't go, the safety's covering this guy. I can't look at my one read. I got to look off my first read, go to my second read. Oh, guess what? Jalen Waddle's wide open downfield because I went through my reads and I can hit him. He has the arm talent. He has the brain. I mean, you want to replace someone, if you want to replace Tom Brady, this is the closest to Tom Brady you're going to get. And I get it. It's not because he's just a tall white kid without much mobility. He generally has a true football mind that I very much enjoy watching. And I think he fits New England. New England, quarterback's the most important position on the board, on the field. And you can't just skip off potentially getting your franchise quarterback in Mac Jones here, drafting defensive linemen. Yeah, maybe it's a need, but at the end of the day, you don't have wide receivers, you don't have tight ends. So if you want to go, you could even go, I think the tight end out of PSU, Pat Freiermuth, you could go with him. You could go wide receiver here. You used to have Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver from Minnesota. You need weapons more than you need D-line, and you need quarterback more than you need weapons if you're New England. And going with Belmore makes no sense here. Another head-scratching pick. Now, Patrick Surtain, I think Patrick Surtain to Arizona fits a need. They're going to lose Patrick Peterson, so might as well replace him with another Patrick. Patrick Surtain has, like I said before, he has this aura around him. He has this professionalism about him. He's faced the best corners. He doesn't get beat that often, that deep. He has great hands, great instincts. He's not the most athletic guy. He's probably the slowest outside of the top three corners of J.C. Horn, Caleb Farley, and Patrick Surtain, but he has that attitude around him, and I very much like this pick. 3-4, he's more of a zone corner as well, I feel like, but he plays good press if you need him to. He replaces what Patrick Peterson is going to leave behind as a void. Now, Las Vegas here going Jason Owa. Now, I haven't scouted Jason Owa that in depth, but I think Jason Owa, from the edge players I've scouted and the edge players that most people seem to have at the top of their boards, Jason Owa is borderline a first-round pick. You don't draft it in the middle of the first round. When you want to go big or go home. Las Vegas, they drafted Clelin Ferrell. Like it says here, Clelin Ferrell, Arden Key, Max Crosby, Maurice Hurst. And they're still a bottom 5 unit when it comes to rushing the passer. And that's what happens when you trade Khalil Mack, obviously. Go big or go home here. The last few years that we've seen Las Vegas, they've drafted very conservatively, drafted more scheme fits, didn't go for the most elite guys. Like, for example, they went Clelin Ferrell over, I believe, Bradley Chubb, right? And they went that way because Clelin Ferrell was the safer prospect. He, fit what they wanted. They didn't go big or go home. I think you need to risk it for the biscuit here. Go Gregory Rousseau. I don't like Gregory Rousseau as a prospect. I believe he's very much more of almost a 3-tech. He had more pressure from the defensive tackle position. And I also believe that Gregory Rousseau has massively flawed. Like, 90% of the time, he's a non-factor, and other guys are more factors for a greater percentage of the time. But you go big or go home. He has the length, he has the speed, he has the burst, he has all the physical measurables you want. You just need to coach him up. And going with another edge over Gregory Rousseau or even Azeez Ojulari, Jalen Phillips, Joseph Osai, it makes no sense. Another L by PFF here. Now, Miami, going Gregory Rousseau here. I don't really have much of a problem here. They did end up going with their wide receiver earlier in Jamar Chase. I think they could go offensive line here if they really wanted to. They could probably go with someone like a, someone like a, I mean, there are a ton of tackles left. I think Christian Dorsey already went, but you can go with an Elijah Vera Tucker, Tavon Jenkins, any of those guys. But I think you need edge pressure here. I guess you can maybe go big or go home with Gregory Rousseau. I think you might want to focus on fixing your quarterback, though, and draft offensive line. Larry Tunsil got traded, and he left a big hole, and you still haven't fixed it. Now, Washington football team going J.C. Horn. I guess you have a defensive coach. You might lose Ronald Darby in free agency. I'm not against the pick. I think Washington needs defensive help, but I think you might need more wide receiver help here. And also another team that should trade up for a quarterback and instead of Philly. Again, it just makes no sense to me. This pick, I'm just sort of neutral to. J.C. Horn, love the player. I guess cornerback might be a need for them, but overall, it just makes no sense to me. Chicago, Tavon Jenkins. I haven't done much research on him yet when it comes to scouting him. But tackles, they need tackles. They were, I believe, the 23rd or 21st. They were not a highly ranked offensive line, and they couldn't run the football well. And if they wanted to run the football well, I could see them going Jalen Mayfield. He's one of the better run blockers. But I think you want to protect whoever's you're bringing in as quarterback, whether it be Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, Ron Fitzpatrick, whoever it is. You got to protect your quarterback, and you got to open up some lanes for David Montgomery to run the football. So I like offensive line here. You can plug in any player here, honestly. I like the position. Indianapolis Colts going Rondale Moore. I have Kadarius Toney higher. I have Rashad Bateman higher. I have Terrence Marshall higher out of OSU. I understand, though. I think you might lose T.Y. Hilton for free agency. You already have your big body wide receiver of the future, Michael Pittman. So going wide receiver here, assuming you get your quarterback of the future, which Carson Wentz probably goes there, I'd assume. Rondale Moore, 5'9", 180. He's smaller, but he doesn't play like a small guy when he runs the ball. He has injury concerns. He missed 2018 and 2019 rather, and 2020 with hamstring injuries, another lower body injuries. But this guy, when he runs the ball, he's dynamic. He runs physical. He has juke moves for days, if you will. Speed to get open downfield. He's a great wide receiver, and he's someone that you feed the ball to. And I think Indianapolis, if they lose T.Y. Hilton, and even if they don't, they're lacking someone like that. Now, Tennessee going Azeez Ojulari. They're the 31st ranked defensive front, according to PFF. And also, they had 19 sacks. That's terrible. I get you had COVID, so you missed a couple weeks where you could have gotten some sacks. But at the end of the day, that did not get the job done. Azeez Ojulari, they run a 3-4 here. I believe Azeez Ojulari is the best speed rusher in the draft. Maybe you want to go more power here, go Jalen Phillips, Joseph Asai. But at the end of the day, if you're going edge, which you need to go if you're Tennessee, I think it's a great position by PFF here. But Azeez Ojulari makes sense. Fastest speed rusher. He has one move, really. It's his speed outside rush, club with the outside hands, and get around the quarterback, get around the edge, and stack the quarterback. But he's really good at it. And he has some upside here if you can sort of train him and give him some magic sauce, if you will, and help him gain some pounds. New York going Rashad Bateman here, wide receiver. I think they need wide receiver. They need to help whoever the quarterback is here. I think they could go offensive line if they wanted to with an Elijah Tucker, Vera Tucker. They could go a lot of ways here. Rashad Bateman, though, get another guy outside of Denzel Mims to be your true wide receiver one. Rashad Bateman, his athleticism sort of it's definitely inconsistent. Sometimes he looks like he's the fastest guy on the field for Minnesota. Sometimes he looks extremely slow. But at the end of the day, he's very much a very technically sound wide receiver. He's great at running routes. He's great at getting open. Great. He doesn't drop the ball that often. He's great in contested catches situations, great on back shoulder fades, that type of thing. And I believe whoever the quarterback is there, whether it be a Sam Darnold, Deshaun Watson, or in this draft, Zach Wilson, I think you're going to help that player by drafting a true wide receiver one to help Denzel Mims. Now, Pittsburgh going edge here. I think Pittsburgh has bigger holes. I think they could go running back. They don't have one. I think Najee Harris fits that patience that they've long had with Le'Veon Bell. When it comes to running back, they go corner, offensive tackle. The Pouncey twins, both of them retired. They could go anywhere. Jalen Phillips, I don't know if edge is necessarily a need. I get Jalen Phillips as a good player, but I think you have bigger needs if you're Pittsburgh. Jalen Phillips, though, I guess if I'm comparing three edges, you have Kwity Paye, great run defender, needs to work in pass game. Azeez Ojulari, great pass rusher, needs help in the running game. And then Jalen Phillips is sort of like the mix between the two. Like, he's not elite in either of those two regards, but he's very good at rushing the passer. He has a good inside spin move, some great power when he needs to, can stop the run, close gaps. Again, he's not as good as Kwity Paye at that. He's not good as Azeez Ojulari at their crafts, if you will. But at the end of the day, he's good overall as a player. I like the player. I just don't like the position here. Jacksonville going Trayvon Morig. They got rid of Abrams. They traded him to the Browns already. They don't have safety help. I get going safety, but I think you should prioritize, if I'm Jacksonville, helping Trevor Lawrence. Go offensive line. Go tight end. Like, if you want to go with a Pat Freiermuth out of Penn State, who to me looks like Zach Ertz, isn't the best blocker, but he's decent enough at it, and he's a good receiver, knows how to get open, catch balls. You can go that way. You can go wide receiver if you want, get a three-headed attack with your players and DJ Chark. I believe they're losing someone to free agency, maybe Dede Westbrook, Killen Cole, and then they also are going to have Laviska Shenault. They can go wide receiver, and you can just help your team. Go offensive line, whatever it is. I just think you got to help your team and help your quarterback in your rookie year. We already saw what happened with players like, just don't have weapons. Like Jaylen Hurts, all he could do was run the ball. He didn't have offensive weapons to throw the ball to, and that's going to hinder his development. Now, Trayvon Morig, I like the player here. Explosive. He has the instincts. He has some good range to him, so I understand the pick. I'm not too mad about it. Now, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame, which I somehow got the name right. Give me a round of applause, please. Cleveland Browns, they need someone who can be a difference maker up front. They have a good front four, but in the back seven, they're just not good. They're doo-doo, if you would. They were terrible in the pass game, and I believe going like halfway through the season, they were like ranked the 30th pass defense and 30th defense overall. They were just very piss poor at it. And their defense was the reason why they weren't a legitimate Super Bowl contender this year. It was because they couldn't stop the pass, couldn't stop the run that effectively. JOK, to me, he's a heat-seeking missile that misses his target a bit too often, but you can sort of mess with his software, if you will, and sort of fine-tune him so that missile is hitting his target more often. He's the fastest runner, I think, of the three linebackers who are probably going to go in the first round, including Zaven Collins. He's a missile, like I said. This guy's fast as hell, and I like what I like from. You can add someone who can play safety, almost. You can make him play nickel linebacker, whatever it might be, and he does that all very well. Explosive athlete, and that's what you're getting here. So I like the pick. Try to get some bodies here who can improve your defense. Now, Baltimore going Elijah Vera-Tucker. I think Elijah Vera-Tucker can play tackle, and people are saying he's going to play interior offensive line because he played that at a very high level in 2019. 2020, he played tackle for USC, and he did that very well as well. So I think he's probably third-ranked or fourth-ranked offensive lineman on the board for me because of his versatility. Very safe, great pass blocker, great technique. He's not the best mover compared to like a Christian Dorsett or a Creed Humphrey, but he's great. He's good at all that. He's a safe pick. You need someone to replace your Hall of Fame guard that just retired, whose name I cannot remember right now, Marshall Yanda. You need someone to replace him. And I think Elijah Vera-Tucker can get the job done. And he gives some versatility to the offensive line as well. So I like that pick. Now, New Orleans Saints going Mac Jones. You hammer that pick if you're the New Orleans Saints. But at the end of the day, Mac Jones shouldn't be here. So he should have gone way before to New England. Should have gone to Washington football team. If Chicago doesn't have a quarterback, they're going that way. New York Jets, if they haven't drafted a quarterback. Pittsburgh might want to replace Big Ben and go there. No way in hell Mac Jones falls to 28 to New Orleans. It's a great pick. Great player. Like I said, cerebral. You can see him adapting to the game, getting better. But it just makes no sense that PFF has him drafting this far. And PFF, this is probably my biggest problem with you. Green Bay Packers going Kadarius Toney. Love the pick. He and Rondale Moore and Jalen Darden out of North Texas are the three best runners in this class. Maybe add in Elijah Moore as well at the wide receiver position. Kadarius Toney 5'11", 195. He's not the biggest, but when he's running with the ball in his hands, he plays like he's, gained 20 pounds and, is not going to run like a 4.6, but he's going to run like a 4.4 when he runs with the ball. He has spin moves, he has explosiveness, great route runner, great hands. He's not really a true contested catch receiver, but you need someone to complement Davonte Adams, and you're getting that in Kadarius Toney. Now, Buffalo Bills going Asante Samuel here. Someone to pair alongside with Tre'Davious White. I like the pick. I like the player as well. Really, if you're Buffalo, you go best player available, and I think Asante Samuel is debatably the best man-on-man corner in the draft, along with Caleb Farley. So I don't have a problem here. Go best player available and try to fix your defense. I also like going running back here. Their running game, honestly, their best running back, in all honesty, was Josh Allen, and I think you can definitely go running back and adjust that issue because you need someone who can run the ball. Someone like a Travis Etienne, who is more of a one-cut guy, but he looks like Alvin Kamara to me. He has speed, top-end speed, great ball receiver, great in space. I just like everything about Travis Etienne. So I'd probably go Travis Etienne over Asante Samuel and try to fix your offense in your running game, but I understand Asante Samuel. Dylan Redunce, offensive tackle. No, I haven't scouted him yet, but I've heard great things about him from NDSU. He's a big guy. Kansas City probably left a sour taste in their mouth the Super Bowl and not being able to defend and protect your star player in Patrick Mahomes. So I'm fine with that. And then Tampa Bay going Sam Cosmi. I think Tampa Bay could go best player available. If they want to go offensive line, go for it. If you want to go wide receiver because maybe you're letting number 14 Chris Godwin leave in free agency, then sure, go for it. I think they should probably prioritize maybe defense here. They're going to lose one of Ndamukong Suh, Levante David, and Shaquille Barrett most likely to free agency. So if you want to go with an Osai out of Texas, edge player, if you want to go with someone like a Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa, I'd probably go there. That's just my take on it, though. Yeah, overall, this draft, I just can't understand Mac Jones falling that far. I can't understand Philly drafting Justin Fields. I can't understand a lot of things. Carolina going Kyle Pitts, it's not really it for me. New England not drafting a quarterback. Washington not drafting a quarterback. Pittsburgh not drafting a quarterback. Just very mind-boggling decisions on this mock draft for PFF. And I guess that's why you got to take everything that PFF says with a grain of salt. Because, yeah, they have some good football analytics, but their positional needs just seem a bit off to me. But that's it for me. Thank you for listening to this. And if you enjoyed it, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Thank you. Peace out.